Our beloved Jose Abigail Quinones was a charming, intelligent, kind, and caring gentleman, full of zest for life and love for people. He was friendly and had an easy smile, a sparkle in his eye, and had a hearty and most contagious laughter. He was born on Wednesday, November 24th of 1943 in La Isla del Encanto, Arecibo, Puerto Rico, to Don Eladio Quiñones and Doña Juana Oyola, La Señora Mima, the third of two brothers and a sister. At the age of 4, 1947, he was brought to the Empire State, New York, where he was raised and received his schooling. He received a modest 6th grade education, but attained an incalculable degree in life's journey as he loved and played and served others. A true New York-Rican, he spent most of his life in the South Bronx borough of New York. He was a hard worker since the age of 13, landing his first job at a hardware store. His outstanding work ethic commanded attention at the Bowser's Parking in Manhattan in his many years as parking attendant. His meticulous attention to detail afforded his employ as a supervisor of maintenance at the Jackson Avenue Family Residence, which is part of the Care for the Homeless Health Centers network, and where he served faithfully. He served until his health no longer permitted. It was as she went to school, Joe's path crossed with a petite and delightfully charming girl with a curious name, Dominga Soto. He pursued her, and to use his daughter's term, he sweated her. But she flirted back. His Catholic upbringing did not prevent him from seeking out the evangelical church she attended. And while at the Jerusalén Segunda Church, the brawny young man would catch her eye, and her father's knuckles would meet her scalp with a cocotazo. "Quit looking at that guy," he would say. Nevertheless, Joe's relentless pursuit captured her heart and her graces. Not only did he find the love of his life, but he found a new faith and life. He embraced Jesus Christ as Lord of his life, and in May 20th of 1967, the brawny guy and the petite girl with the curious name were wed in holy matrimony and together lived the Christian life. The product of their love bore the beautiful progeny of 3 girls and 3 boys: Rebecca, Jonathan, Melinda, Michelle, Reuben, and Ephraim. And of their love, a beautiful brood of 13 grandchildren: Mirelis, Kimberly, Eileen, Melanie, Raquel, Sarah, Salima, Malachi, Donovan, Liam, Leilani, Jocelyn, and Adriel.
Wow.
Let me catch my breath for a moment. And 3 adored great-grandchildren: Shamel, Kyrie, and Stephen. All who knew Joe were enriched and privileged. He was a good man. He was a loving man. He was a kind man. He was cordial and always giving of himself, selflessly giving his all. He loved his wife of 49 years. He loved his children. He loved his grandchildren. And he loved mariachi music.
Yes.
Who'd have thunk it? He loved mariachi music, and tears escaped his eye every time he heard El Rey de la Música Ranchera, none other than Vicente Fernández. El día que te encontré me enamoré. Tú sabes que nunca te lo he negado. He enjoyed trains and he loved cars. His favorite movies were anything dinosaurs, whether cartoon, silver screen, or National Geographic. He loved dinosaurs. And his humor never faded, never faded. Always calling people by the names they didn't carry. You were named John, he called you George. You could call me Larry, you could call me Joe. He loved his arroz con gandules and pernil. And I remember that from way back in the days when they had the retiros at the church, you know. And then they had their break in the middle, and they had the asopaos also. He loved that back in the days, but as of late, Mickey D's chicken sandwiches were his fancy. And you couldn't forget the alcapurrias. He was the consummate handyman. Jose was the go-to repairman. He could do it all. He loved being of service to others. I remember nearly 23 years ago, when I was a young pastor, starting off in the city of Hoboken, New Jersey. He always had a good word. And he would tell me, you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to go places. He would always tell me, keep doing what you're doing, you're a good guy. He came to my church one day, and he took a look at the little chapel that we started off at. And he says, you know what? Do you mind if I design something a little better for you? And would you believe it? He tells me, listen, you find yourself a few guys that will donate their time, and I'll come every day for the next 2 weeks, and I'll fix this place for you. And would you believe it? He kept his word. I found a handful of people, and every day he would come, and he tore off the altar of the church, and he made a beautiful, beautiful altar. Put rugs, beautiful train down to the back. And I have to say that I can't thank him enough. We saw hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people come to the Lord at that altar. We have dozens and dozens and dozens of couples that exchange vows at that altar that he designed. And I dedicated dozens and dozens of beautiful babies to the Lord in that altar that he designed. And I still keep doing what I was doing because someone believed in me and he dared to say it. And he would say, you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to go places. Thank you so much, Joe. Thank you for who you were. Thank you for who you are still in our hearts. He donated of his time, and in a matter of days, we had a brand new church because that was the kind of man that he was. He kept his word. Everyone who knew him knew his faithfulness, his loyalty, his love to his wife, to his children, and for his grandchildren. That despite his sufferings and afflictions, he was never known to complain. Rather, his family and his grandchildren were his devotion. That he was a devoted husband and father, the patriarch of his family. Today, I can't help but think that in a society that has lost the vigor of commitment, the improvement of the world can only arise when men like Joe are increased thousands times over. For us, his friends, neighbors, and family, this is a time of grief and a time of sorrow. To think that we will never be able to walk together with him here on this earth, that we will never hear his voice or no longer hear his footsteps or listen to his voice. A beloved wife is diminished of a devoted husband of nearly 5 decades, till death did that part. Joe Quinones. 6 loving siblings are diminished of a beloved model and exceptional father who devotedly raised them and nurtured them. Joe Quinones. 13 grandchildren and 3 great-grandchildren are diminished of an adoring grandpa who saw them grow, who cherished them, and whose arms were never too tired to hug and always answered their call for Big Papa Bear. Joe Quinones. A sister is diminished of a great brother, Joe Quinones. Loved ones are diminished of a phenomenal friend, Joe Quinones. The Bronx County is diminished of an esteemed citizen, Joe Quinones. And the world is diminished of a most extraordinary human being, Joe Quinones. But heaven? Heaven is joyfully augmented by a child of God, who upon closing his eyes here on earth, on Tuesday the 9th of August, He opened them in glory, and he was ushered in. And he was told, "Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over little. I will set you over much. Enter into the joy of your Lord." Jose Abigail Quinones will never be diminished from our memories, because his life in one way or another touched ours. And recorded and engraved, imprinted in our memories are the tender moments, the difficult moments, the smiles and the tears that God gave us the privilege with him to share. We will always remember him fondly and with sweet affection. And we say farewell, Jose. Husband, father, grandpa, great-grandpa, brother, neighbor, friend. But Jose Q, Joe Q will never, never, ever die. Jose will live on in our hearts and in our memories forever. At this time, my wife Ruth would like to dedicate a song for Joe and for the entire family. Would you please welcome my wife Ruth as she comes?